keen to study in the UK, believe that you deserve a spot to study with some of the world's best minds, but don't know whether you can manage the funds. Well, that's been the story that so many young students have been writing into us, and that's exactly what we're trying to address. There are plenty of scholarships for you to study in the UK. There may just be one for you with your name out there. How are you going to crack it? How are you going to go about it? That's what we're going to try and understand over the next 20 odd minutes or so. Let's get started right away. With me, a very special panel. There's Richard Everett, Director, Education and Society, British Council, India. There's Chetan, who's a Jubilee Scholar. Thanks, Chetan, for being with us. Sonia Mehra Chawla, Charles Wallace India Trust Scholar. Thanks also for taking our time to do this. And there's Ankur Garg, the Chevening Scholar. Thanks again for being with us. Also on Skype from the London Business School, we will have Aditya Paranjpai in just a bit. But Richard, let me just start with asking you, a young aspirational country really wanting the best in education, be it in India or abroad, eyeing the UK, but doesn't know if all of us can really get the funding together. That really seems to be the heart of the problem for many people who want to go. In a nutshell, what would you say to them? How easy is it to get these scholarships? And not everyone's going to have this kind of luck, or will they?
So thanks, Natasha. I think the first thing to say is there's never been a better time for Indian students to come study in the UK for scholarship purposes. We now have more scholarships for Indian students in India this year than ever before. So the government Chevening Scholars Programme, for example, has not doubled but quadrupled their budget for Chevening scholarships this year. We've been able to offer 750 great scholarships over the last 2 years. And of course we have Charles Wallace scholarships, we have Commonwealth scholarships, and we have the Jubilee Scholarship Scheme. So, and every single UK university will have some sort of scholarship or bursary or discount offer because they want to attract the best Indian students and best students from around the world to study in the UK. So what students need to do in India is to find the information. That's the critical thing. And they need to go onto the website, such as the British Council's website or British High Commission's website, and they'll find the details there.
Right, so you're saying the information is out there. You just need to know where to look.
That's right.
And sort of focus your energies on that. I was speaking to you earlier, sorry, and you said that had it not been for the scholarship, you were one of those who perhaps wouldn't have then gone ahead with your education there in the UK. Tell us a bit about it.
It was very easy to find information from the British Council website. And I have friends and colleagues who had already informed me about Charles Wallace fellowships in the past. It's been an amazing journey ever since because it's opened these wide horizons and a whole new avenue for me. And it's actually shaping my practice in a most amazing way now.
Right. And that, of course, perhaps was the idea of getting a platform, you know, like studying this, something like this in the UK. Ankur, you're a Chevening Scholar. What was the whole process like? Did you sort of find it, you know, is it frustrating along the way?
I mean, at some point in time, yes, the process gets frustrating. I wouldn't deny that. But that's altogether for a number of different reasons. Sometimes you see that the scholarships and the admission timelines are very different to each other. They don't really work sort of tie in with each other. For example, I was interviewed for a scholarship and I was offered the scholarship, but I had to sort of submit a letter of admission from the universities that I'd applied to, and I'd applied to only 2. And the timelines in terms of sort of the universities making an offer versus the scholarships sort of deadlines for you to confirm was just it varied by 15 days, and because of which I had to let go.
And those 15 days can be key, I mean, can be make or break in a sense. Why does that happen, Richard? Is that sort of unique to sort of our timelines here in India, or is that something that students all over the world would be facing anywhere in the world, not just the UK?
In some cases there are some overlaps between those two processes, and the students got to be patient and can keep ongoing communications with both the scholarship award bodies and also the universities.
Right, so that's an important tip that you have, that stay patient, don't just give up and don't sort of, you know, let the frustration get to you like you did. I mean, you stayed the course and it worked out really well for you. Is that fair, Richard? I mean, is that how you would suggest that students zero in? Because the other thing is, there's so much on offer and everything looks great, and I don't know which one's made for me.
That's right. Well, the good news is there are something like 60,000 courses in the UK, all quality assured, and over the last 10 years, about a quarter of a million Indian students have gone to the UK, done their studies, come back to India and prove their careers. So there's a whole range of courses in the UK for Indian students to look at, and you're absolutely right to work out where's your career heading and what goals I want to pick up, and then look at all the scholarship and bursaries and financial support you can get to help you get there.
I think what you need to really look at very carefully is what are the demands in terms of and how you're going to fulfill it. They make it very clear in the application procedure that you should have established a form of contact with the host institution. Which means that primarily you need to be very focused on what it is exactly that you want to do. You should have researched a fair bit about what are your aims and objectives and why you want to do this. You should have contacted the institution and to have some sort of a communication with them, which would help you, not only strengthen your proposal, but then also to take it further.
You were perhaps lucky. You said that, around you were all these people who were familiar with, what you were getting into, the kind of funding that you wanted to get. What happens to those who don't have this? Then we're saying that get onto Facebook, get onto, of course, the British Council website, which I've seen personally has links to all the possible scholarships that you perhaps can get. But Ankur, how did it work for you? I mean, who were your kind of influences?
For me, the first point of sort of information was the British Council. So it was the website, but also the fairs that the council organizes, the talks that the council organizes. So even if it's not meant for a particular scholarship, or even if it's not meant for study in the UK, one must really be engaged in terms of what the council is doing. And the lectures at large that the council organizes. So there was actually a science lecture by the rector of the Imperial College that I did go to. And there I met a lot of different
Even
scholars.
though you were not sort of clear that you were not focused on getting to study something along those lines at Imperial College.
So I didn't apply to Imperial College.
I see.
Finally, I didn't want to study at the Imperial College, but the rector of the Imperial College was talking about the role of technology in changing the world at large. And I went to that talk, and luckily, there were a number of scholars from sort of various different scholarships who were present there, and that's when I sort of got to know the first sort of instinct about how different the alumnus of one scholarship is from some other scholarship.
I have to
and
say
that's when you sort of build on that information.
That's fascinating, Richard. I mean, but that's just fascinating that there might be a lot in common, but there's also sort of very distinct aspects about every scholarship. And do you agree with what Ankur's saying, that at the end it also goes into, it's not just the funding that helps you finish your education, but also plays a big part in who you eventually turn out to be?
We're talking about professional development, and we're talking about professional networks. And I think about the Charles Wallace Trust event we had with a professional network of 100 former scholars here last week. Professional networking, the Chevening Scholarship, the Association of British Scholars. We had our first National Education UK Alumni Awards last week as well. So building these professional networks, which are India, but also international. So some scholarships allow you to kind of then be linked to social and digital media, to professional linked networks you wouldn't normally have. So I think they do play a key role in your career progression.
Chetan, has that been your experience?
When you go to the corporate world, people recognize you that you've studied particular masters or some other courses from the well-known UK universities, and on the top of that, you have secured a scholarship, which is quite prestigious. And at the same time, those sort of scholarship, if you're talking about the Chevening Scholarship, or let's talk about the Jubilee Scholarship, which really focuses also upon the developing the leadership skills and how you're going to contribute back to the country when you're sort of done with the your course. So that really helps once you go back to the corporate world, and it really helps you to take make a great career jump from there onwards.
We as applicants are much clearer about which scholarship I'm tailored for and which scholarship my skill set suits best to while I apply and while I go for interviews. So it just helps improve your chances to be able to get that admission and get that scholarship if you're clear about these things.
Right, we just need to take a quick break, but before that, if you could just all help me wrap up what we've just been over in the last couple of minutes for the benefit of those who are watching. Do your research, know what you're getting into, have your, where you want to head professionally and work your way back. There's a scholarship perhaps out there with your name on it. You just need to know where to look and the right platforms and the forums that you need to be a part of to look for it. But we're slipping into a quick break, back with lots more. Welcome back. How can you get that scholarship, the one that you have your eye on but don't know how to crack? Well, that's what we've been discussing. Hopefully you've got some tips, you are taking notes. Let's just hear from someone who's studying Masters in Management at the London Business School, a great scholar, Aditya Paranjpai. Aditya, thanks so much for taking our time to speak to us. Tell me, you've said that none of this would be possible, you wouldn't be there had it not been for the scholarship. How much time did you take to prepare to get that scholarship, and how focused really were you on all of that?
Sure. So, I did apply for the scholarship after getting my admission. In terms of how long I spent at it, I think it took about 3 weeks to get ready to actually apply for the scholarship. And the reason I took that long was because it wasn't the essay that took that long, but because what I had to write in the essay, I actually had to conduct a small survey, which I did on my own, because the question asked as to how I will be able to promote the name or promote the image of a UK education for people in India. So I went out and took a survey with aspiring sort of people who are giving the GMAT who are aspiring to go abroad as to why they would or would not choose the UK as a destination, and that's what I wrote in my essay. So for me, it took about 3 weeks to get it done, and luckily I was successful.
Great, and the top tips that perhaps you would have on how you got this scholarship? I mean, you're saying you were very focused on it, you were very clear on what you wanted, but how did you really crack this? And come on, give us all the inside dope.
Sure. So I mean, it's all about being creative with what you have. Essentially, it is making sure, because the application process is just that a couple of essays, and just making sure that you write those essays in the most creative manner as possible. Like I mentioned, the creativity that I used was actually going on and taking surveys, which wasn't required by the essay. So doing something creative in terms of what the resources you have available, the network you have available, and using that in your essay to actually show them that, or show the British Council that, okay, fine, you are the best person to sort of promote the name of a UK education in India. So that's the inside scope. Just be creative.
Great scholars. That's something else that the British Council has been focusing on. Tell us a bit about it, Richard.
Well, the Great Education Campaign is something the British Council is managing across India to try and help more Indian students go to the UK. And part of this, we've created 750 scholarships over the last 2 years, over 400 this year, to help Indian students go to the UK and study there.
What do these increasing numbers of scholarships say, Richard? Is it a reflection on a country that's eager to learn, hungry for more? Is that a fair assessment on the need to keep sort of increasing the number of scholarships for Indian students as well?
Well, Indian students have been coming to the UK for the last 150 years.
Right,
I mean,
right.
so, and they provide such a tremendous academic and cultural contribution to the UK, and we want to see more Indian students to take that opportunity.
Right.
But we know, we know it's a high investment for Indian students, and we know there's competition. So we're just trying to help more Indian students go to the UK. Those who want to go, and give them that discount through the scholarships to make
Right.
it possible for them.
Right, and that's of course what is going to sort of make the key difference for so many of them. Like Sonia has been saying, that's what really made the key difference. Aditya also saying that had it not been for that scholarship, you wouldn't be there. I also want to talk a little bit to all of you about the pressure that you've come back, you've got these scholarships, you've been to the topmost education institutions in the world, and you come back. What's the pressure like? Do you believe that this particular course transformed you?
Yes, it did, to quite a good extent. I mean, what sort of the things which I have gone and learned over there, some of the professionals which came to the university, that sort of an experience which I could not have got while studying in India, it actually broadened my horizons. And when I have come back, I can see the real implementation,
Right.
how it can be done in the Indian scenario.
Right.
One can apply their minds, how it can be transformed, how it can be modified in a way to apply to the Indian industrialistic scenario. So you need to roll on from there, and
Right.
you need to really start thinking
Right.
that how you can best
Right.
make a best use of that.
As
sort of
someone told
knowledge.
us recently that the most important thing my time in the UK taught me was to fly on my own, the confidence that I could do it and that I am as good as anybody else. I thought that was a huge takeaway, much more than the degree. Ankur?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the confidence that, so fly on your own, the confidence that you can survive on your own, that you can cook your own food, that you can do everything by yourself and clean your own dishes and your own clothes, it takes you a long way. But sort of in terms of going back to your previous question about raising expectations, yes, it does. I mean, it does raise expectations. It is a little bit scary, to be honest. I mean, I wouldn't deny that. But because
teaches you perhaps to deal with those expectations,
exactly, exactly. I mean, you become more independent and you become sort of more confident to be able to deal with those expectations because you have been sort of faced with those expectations even when you were at the university.
Right.
Because there are sort of other peers of yours who look up to you in the sense that, oh, you are one of the scholars, and then that's why you need to be something different. And so you start getting used to those expectations.
Right.
And I think what I would like to bring here to the point is that the scholarship does add in terms of your ability to be able to respond to those expectations.
Right.
The scholarship gives you the right networks. The scholarship gives you the right development opportunities. As Sonia said earlier, it doesn't stop
Right.
when you complete your degree.
Right.
I would say that it actually starts when you complete your degree, because what you make of it and what you make of the networks and how you use the networks and how you use the amount of opportunities that are presented to you after you come back really helps you create that enabling environment for you to be able to respond to high expectations. It's also because of sort of, yes, you've got a scholarship, but also because the scholarship puts you on an accelerated career path and you need to be able to respond to that.
Well, that's a great note to wrap on, but Richard, I'll give you the last word. Well, for all those who are watching and perhaps we're hoping now have got some sort of clue on where to start, there's, of course, you can always write into us on the British Council website like we've been talking about. But, you were talking earlier, making a very important point on really the world being at your doorstep, the world being in your classroom when you're studying in the UK. That also for many is one key reason to want to reach out and say, I want to be a part of that experience.
I think if you're an ambitious Indian student and you want to fast track your career and you want to create an international network, now's the time to study in the UK. We have more scholarships than ever before. You're going to meet people from Singapore, from Nigeria, from the USA, from Brazil in your classroom, and that brings a whole international dimension to your education, gives you an international network, and you can have a lot of fun on the way.
Right. Have a lot of fun on the way, and we can see all the other students who are back, all our other scholars agreeing. But thanks so much for being a part of this, Richard, Ankur, Sonia, and Chetan. Thanks so much for taking our time to talk to us today. Well, that's a wrap on the program. More coming up next week. Remember, you wanted to hear on scholarships. We've brought you that. Many of you also asking questions on visas and the whole work-study situation. That's also coming up on the program in a couple of weeks from now. We'll keep you posted. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.